There is an ongoing rift among conservatives having to do with the treatment of women, and it is a fascinating story to say the least. So apparently, women influencers on the right are caught in a massive disagreement about how women are portrayed by some conservatives. Specifically, they're arguing about how much they're allowed to push conservative, misogynistic expectations onto women, and some of them are really misogynistic, even more than what we've seen before. And to be quite honest with you, I agree with those who argue that the most extreme among them are doing it for attention and as part of a branding exercise and a grift. But let me fill you in on what the details are. So Media Matters publishes a lengthy and comprehensive account of this debate among conservatives, okay? And here are the major players. So there are the women who are getting a little irritated and uncomfortable with all the misogyny, and those women include Turning Point USA's Alex Clark, BlazeTV's Allie Beth Stuckey, Blaze host and Turning Point USA contributor Lauren Chen, and Mikhaila Peterson, who is the daughter of Jordan Peterson. And to be clear, these women have not held back in some of their, I'll be generous and say, stereotypical and traditional views of women. For instance, Stuckey has said that she believes wives should submit to their husbands as to the Lord, even though that word submission can be really scary. Chen argued in a February video that it is important to listen to what a man might want in a woman, adding that being independent and career focused are things that essentially make a woman into a man.
Okay, I want to just pause to let everybody understand. Those are the moderates.
Those are the moderates, right?
We're going to get to the right-wing fanatics in a second, but those are the ones that are pushing back against the right-wing fanatics. I don't actually think they're moderate. Those quotes are insane.
I mean, look, I'd like to see a little more context into Chen's comments, right? Because I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to listen to what your partner wants. Like,
no.
Yeah, but the second half of it, where like being career focused or independent basically turns a woman into a man, I disagree with that, right?
I don't just disagree with it. I think that's mental. Working is only a man can do it. So if a woman does it, you become a man. So
I got news
women
for you.
should never work.
Most women don't have the choice. Most women do not have the choice.
That's also true, but she works. And why don't you go home? Go make a sandwich. So those are the so-called moderates in the right wing, and they're nutsos. I'm gonna give you 3 brackets in a second, but go ahead.
Then there's Clark, who argued at a recent Turning Point USA event for women that the feminist movement is in large part to blame for the fracturing of the traditional home, where women were coerced outside of their natural roles as mothers into the workforce. I would argue that the inequality and stagnant wages that stagnated beginning in the 1970s, which led to pressure for both parties to work and bring in dual income, is part of the problem here. But I mean, no, but seriously, let's just stop for a second. I just want them to answer that question. If we reverted to a society where women weren't allowed to work anymore, how exactly would that household survive given what wages look like today? Seriously.
Yeah, no, Anna, as you were saying that, I just realized this is, again, the Anna rule. They're distracting you from the actual issue, which is that everyone has to go work, men, women, etc. You both have to go work because otherwise you can't make enough money because corporations have taken everything from us. But they're getting the men and the women to fight each other instead of noticing that their wages did not keep up with productivity and that their wages should be $10 per hour higher than they are today. Right. Why? Because they're saying, no, the real issue is Christianity and how women should stay at home.
That's
and feminism.
The problem. Right.
No, that's a giant distraction from the issue of the corporate robbery that's happening.
Yeah, and look, I'm just gonna. The biggest change that some of you might have noticed with me is that I'm done with the identitarian garbage. I'm done with it. It is a giant distraction, and the more we focus on it, and it's definitely very obvious to me when it comes to the left, the people who are supposed to be fighting for a better economic system, better economic conditions, better working conditions, all of that stuff pushed aside. Let's focus on the identitarian stuff. And the identitarian stuff by nature divides us and leads to more fights, more conflict, even among us. But that's the point. Anyway, sorry, that's a little bit of a tangent, but I had to get that out.
No, but it's relevant in this case.
It's super relevant in this case, yes.
All right, let me just do this and then let you get back to telling the whole story. Look, there's 3 categories here, and I'm partly doing it in the middle here because it's confusing. So there's the normal people, most of America, that goes, hey, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom and you can afford it, and you want to dress up like it's the 1950s and stuff, we love it. Have at it. I think Anna's dress right there is from the 1950s, right? So that's called freedom. No one disagrees with that, okay? Then there's a second bucket. Those are the conservative Christians, the quotes that we just read from you. Like, women, come on, are they really supposed to be at work? Can they really handle? That's a man's job. That kind of nonsense, right? And I think that's loathsome and horrible. But okay, we have a culture difference. They think, no, the Bible says the woman is inferior and must submit to the husband. I don't agree. Okay, we'll fight over that. Now there's a third category, these tradwives and the manosphere and all these bizarre things. And they're even more extreme. That women are super inferior and they're just basically there to provide sex for men, etc. Now, that category was inevitable for the same reasons that Anna's talking about on the left. Because no matter how extreme any position is, you have to go more extreme.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
Because then you're going to get to say outrageous things which draw attention. You're going to attack people on your own side, draw even more attention, right? And then you're going to say you're the most pure. Manna from heaven, then you're making money. You're making money, okay? In social, and so you see it on the right in this case. And yes, that happens on the left too. And everyone who's the most extreme then says, oh, I'm the only pure one. You should watch me, you should listen to me, you should follow me on Substack. You should do this. Oh, by the way, give me money because I'm the most extreme. I mean, most pure. So that's part of the phenomenon. But when you go most extreme on the right, you go really extreme. And that's why they're having this fight now.
So just to reiterate, a tradwife is like this traditional idea of what a woman should be, right? A stay-at-home mom, a wife, dresses like she's in the 1950s. That is the stereotypical preferred version of womanhood for those who are pushing the ideology of the tradwife, right? With that said, there is an online community of tradwives and aspiring tradwives that post stuff like this. You guys do know that stay-at-home moms in the 1950s were like known for constantly being high.
Well, actually, I didn't know that, but that sounds fun.
Like that. I mean, anyway, but let's move on. So the influencers we mentioned have grievances with the whole tradwife thing. So in May, Clark referred to conservatives idolizing the tradwife movement as problematic, and her guest Becca Merkel agreed, saying, quote, I don't think that the 50s were giving us, the perfect model for what women should be like. I don't know if Becca here was referring to what I was thinking, which is getting high all the time, just to handle like the situation and the lack of freedom and independence. But
by the way, that video was like standard fare conservatives, standard fare. It wasn't the extreme version. So like submitting, the women having to submit to men is like very mainstream right-wing thinking these days. But if you don't know what the problem with the 1950s was, women weren't doing it by choice. They didn't have a choice. They were not allowed to get jobs. They were not allowed to go outside the house. And by the way, the part that nobody talks about is they would often get beat, physically beat by their husbands, slapped, punched, kicked, etc. Is that the 50s we want to go back to? Why do you think they kept them in line? Just by suggestion, right? So no, I don't want to go back to that.
Stuckey also tweeted in May, the online tradwife trend isn't biblical marriage. It's narcissists cosplaying as 1950s husbands and housewives with a special, strange emphasis on how awful women are. It's not Christian and it's not really conservative either. And Stuckey isn't just referring to the tradwives in that tweet. She's also specifically calling out an extremely misogynistic subdivision of that group called the manosphere. And if you thought, what you've heard from the tradwife component is bad, wait till you get a load of Pearl Davis, someone who I've seen on Twitter. Look, here's what Pearl's whole shtick is, okay? BS. Saying all sorts of controversial, crazy things to get as much attention as possible. I don't believe that she believes the things that she's saying, but she does say crazy things. So Davis has defended white nationalist Nick Fuentes and hosted violent misogynist Andrew Tate. Davis has varyingly claimed that women cry abuse for everything, and we've actually lost the meaning of abuse, and argued against women's right to vote. So like, look, I don't know. She might actually really love Nick Fuentes. I don't know about that. But like when she advocates for women losing the right to vote, does she really believe that? Really? Does she really believe that? Davis has argued that if you believe in divorce, then you should not get married, and has attacked women for being what she describes as
crappy wives.
Crappy wives, which she defines as not submitting to, exercising for, or sleeping with their husbands.
Okay, so guys, the normal bad guy conservatives that we described earlier are now attacking this Pearl Davis lady, and they're right. And that's the great irony. Like, even though I just told you how much I disagree with like the mainstream conservative crazy thought, right? Pearl Davis is an obvious grifter, so what's the grift? I'm gonna go to be more pure than you, I'm gonna attack you, all the things I described before. But who is she appealing to? Where is she gonna get her money, her audience? She's appealing to right-wing men, and especially misogynistic right-wing men. And there's always going to be a market for some sort of turncoat. So she's a woman saying, oh yeah, women are inferior to you guys. Women shouldn't be allowed to vote. Women are not competent to be able to vote, etc. So misogynistic right-wing men are like, yes, see, even a woman says it. Even a woman says it, right? And so I don't know where she gets her scam. I don't know if she does Substack or whatever, Rumble or whatever the hell she does. And that's how she makes money. So I have no idea if she believes it, but if it wasn't her, it would be another woman. They would go, well, somebody's gonna step up to do that scam. Candace Owens is really a slightly more sophisticated version of this, but not that sophisticated at all. She's like, I'm a woman and women suck. I'm black and black culture sucks. This is the oldest grift in right-wing history.
Listen, let's just not lose sight of the fact that we're talking about whether it's the moderate conservative women or the extremists like Pearl Davis. They're all making money as women working. Why are you guys working? Why are you guys working? Especially you, Pearl. How much money are you bringing in? Why don't you shut up and get offline? Okay, why don't you, are you married?
She's not even married, doesn't have kids.
Do you have any kids? Oh my God. You're not married, you don't have kids?
Why don't you go get pregnant?
Who gave you permission to work?
Why don't you go find a man and submit to him and understand your role as the inferior person and shut up about it? Remember the 1950s when you weren't allowed to say a goddamn thing? And you had to sit in the corner of the house? Go make a goddamn sandwich.
Also, can you please put yourself together, honey? I mean, you never have any lipstick on, no rouge, no nothing. Put yourself together. How could you appear on camera looking like that?
Not our ideology, your ideology.
I mean, it's pathetic to say the least. So a few back and forths I want to share with you. Here's an example of a tweet from Pearl Davis with Mikhaila Peterson responding to it. Remember, Peterson is the more moderate one in this situation. The same women that say, I hate women, will call me autistic, attack my looks, and flat out lie about what I talk about, shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right. By the way, all she does is guilt other women for living a lifestyle that she allegedly doesn't agree with.
Gaslighting 101.
Yeah, Peterson responds with, I said you hate women because almost everything you tweet is hateful toward women, which is true, by the way. It's not factual, it doesn't help anyone, and it's spiteful and vitriolic. Encouraging women to have kids younger and not sleep around is beneficial. Insulting women is not. You do the latter. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, look, like I said, there's one other aspect of the grift here that she's copying that I've seen also on the left, which is attack people, and then when they say, hey, don't do that, go, why are you attacking me? I'm the victim. You see that tweet where she's like pretending to be the victim after she attacked everyone else? And you've got some frauds on the left that do the same exact thing. They'll viciously attack people, and then when you tweak them back, like, oh, I'm a victim. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and like another example of Pearl Davis putting out all sorts of divisive tweets. She said something about how at first it was 25-year-old chicks are hotter than 35-year-old chicks. And that led to a big controversy and debate online. And then after that, this was so disgusting. She tweeted something about how like 16-year-old chicks are hotter than 26-year-old chicks, 26-year-old.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. You're just trying to get attention, right? And you like the worse human being you are, the more attention you're gonna get. That's what media has devolved to at this point. But look, there's only one silver lining in this story, which is that even like what I consider crazy right-wingers, but now have become moderate right-wingers, are going enough. Like we were crazy enough. When you go crazier than us, we're gonna draw the line.
I'm curious how it's gonna play out. I really am, right? Because there's very little pushback on our side when it comes to some of the extreme stuff. But there's a growing chorus of women who are pushing back against the more extreme misogyny in their side. I don't know how it's gonna play out. Which side wins?
Well, I'll tell you what's gonna happen. For people who are actually trying to get something done in the world, we're just gonna go straight forward and we're gonna give you whatever it is, the honest news, trying to get positive change, etc. That's what we do, right? But for everyone else, both on the grifters on the right and then fake left, etc., they're just gonna factionalize to no end. Everyone's gonna fight each other because they just care about money. They don't care about passing any laws, they don't care about policies, they don't care about the American people, they don't care about men, they don't care about women, right? All they care about is the money, Lebowski. So the fighting gets them more money. So they're just gonna fight, fight, fight. And the good news is they're starting to fight each other. And yes, the right wing will shred one another because they're already more vicious than the left. And they will, the only disadvantage the left has is has more orthodoxy. And like, if anyone disagrees with the orthodoxy, people say that's not acceptable. At least with the right wing, they're free to disagree all they like. Anyways, disastrous media ecosystem, and that's where we are.